This Justin and Blake tea is getting messy, y'all. We just found out that Blake was ready to leave Ryan for none other than Justin, and the receipts just hit the internet. Leaked text messages are painting a whole different picture of Blake and Ryan's so-called perfect marriage, and let's just say things are not looking good. So, what really went down? And how did Justin Baldoni end up in the middle of this? First things first, the lawsuit. As y'all already know, Blake updated her lawsuit, and let's just say that so far it's falling apart. Blake is working hard to make her case stick, but the more she talks, the less people believe her. I mean, everyone already saw Justin come with receipts proving that not only did she twist things, but she straight up lied about hard evidence. For example, she tried to claim there was no intimacy coordinator on set, only for Justin to pull out proof that she refused to meet with her. That's why he had to go over the intimate scenes with her himself, which Blake later called inappropriate. Or, how about when she accused Justin of harassment just because he told her she smelled good, when that was literally after she said she was getting spray tan all over him? If anything, that sounds like she was fishing for a compliment.
Getting spray tan on you. Well, it's not that, it's my body makeup.
Now, in a desperate attempt to save face, Blake's new lawsuit is banking on 2 female co-stars backing her up. She's basically saying, if I'm going down, I'm taking y'all with me. A spokesperson for Blake claimed that the lawsuit doesn't name these victim witnesses to protect their privacy, but The Hollywood Reporter spilled that the 2 women in question are Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer. Jenny is a seasoned actress, while Isabella is new to the game, though thanks to this mess of a lawsuit, her big debut is already being overshadowed. Blake's team insists these women have given her permission to share their texts in the lawsuit and will back her up when it's time to testify. Apparently, the updated complaint now includes evidence that Blake wasn't the only one accusing Justin of misconduct, and that multiple people faced threats, harassment, and intimidation. But hold up, let's talk about Jenny's HR complaint for a second, because it has nothing to do with Justin. She was just mad about the New York City apartment she rented during filming. The report also says Wayfair executive Jamie Heath made Jenny uncomfortable when she asked about her security deposit, and he responded by saying the company would reimburse her expenses. Apparently, he also talked a lot about motherhood and the sanctity of being a mom, which, what does that even mean? Her complaint is literally that he was too nice. Meanwhile, sources say Jamie has a completely different understanding of their conversation, claiming Wayfair was just trying to be helpful and that it somehow got turned against them. And as for Isabella, well, she's already praised Justin as an amazing director who made the set feel safe and welcoming. So what's really going on here? Because from the outside looking in, Blake's case is crumbling fast. Back in May 2023, Justin texted Isabella, gassing, hair up, saying, "You did awesome today. So happy to be working with you." And what did she say? "Thank you for being a great director and being so wonderful to work with." Then, fast forward to July, and Sis was in full fangirl mode, texting, "You are such a wonderful, smart, and sincere director. You created such a comfortable, safe space for me to fully step into this role. I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. It will stay with me for the rest of my life." She even attached a developed photo like this was some sentimental moment, but now, suddenly, she's supposed to be a witness against him? Make it make sense. It's obviously giving somebody got in her ear, and that somebody was probably Blake. A lot of folks believe Blake poisoned Isabella against Justin, and honestly, it wouldn't be the first time. Let's not forget, Blake herself admitted to pulling the same messy move back in 2008 when she tried to turn the Gossip Girl cast against Penn Badgley. She literally said in an interview, "I actually poisoned the whole cast against him just because she was mad he got hired. Then she had to backtrack once everyone realized he was actually cool." This is a pattern. And let's not even get into Armie Hammer, who despite his own messy rep, also had beef with Blake, saying she was unbearable to work with. There were even rumors she got him fired. And now, she's trying to act like the victim, and here's where it gets real suspicious. In her lawsuit, Blake claims that on June 8th, 2023, another actor told her she had trouble talking to Justin. And Blake's response? That she struggled too, but covered it up with busyness. Then she hit them with the trauma bonding, saying we're survivors with shared trauma. The dramatics. But hold up, because on June 9th, literally the next day, Blake was texting Justin all sweet, telling him she's getting him a hot matcha. And then on June 10th, after a rough production week, Justin texted her, thanking her for giving 110% despite everything going on. And what did she say? "Thanks so much for this text. I appreciate your empathy, and I give it in return." So, which is it? Are you a survivor of trauma, or are you out here delivering him hot drinks and thanking him for being kind? Because the math ain't mathing. At this point, Justin must be losing his mind over the sheer level of delusion. And it looks like this mess is going to drag on for years, because a judge set the trial date for March 2026, and neither side is even attempting mediation. Justin's lawyer already came out swinging, calling Blake's revised lawsuit filled with unsubstantial hearsay and implying that people who initially backed her claims are now backing away. And honestly, with the way the facts are looking, can you blame them? And the only evidence Blake really has? Ryan Reynolds clowning the whole situation at the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special. Like, girl, this is serious business and your man is out here making jokes? That says a lot.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Little did Ryan know that this
Intro 2. Little did Ryan know that this skit of his would quickly turn into a PR disaster, making people side-eye Blake's entire narrative. Like, if her claims are as serious as she says, why is her own husband out here turning it into a comedy? Skit? Even Justin's lawyer called it out, saying, "I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation." And he's got a point. If this was truly a traumatic event, would Ryan really be cracking jokes about it on stage? And let's get into this tea from Wally Forreston, a veteran at SNL since 1990. He confirmed that Ryan deliberately changed his joke at the last minute to make it about the lawsuit, meaning this wasn't some off-the-cuff moment. Ryan chose to lean into the drama.
Actually, he had a different line in rehearsal, and he pitched that to replace it. So that was his idea to do it. We wouldn't want to do anything too controversial unless they were in on it. So yeah, that was his line. That was his idea.
Here's where it gets really messy. Blake has been telling everyone that this lawsuit has caused her extreme emotional distress. Not just for her, but for Ryan and their kids too. And if that's true, then guess what? Her mental health records, along with those of Ryan and the kids, could potentially be pulled into the case through court discovery. So, they might actually have to back up all these claims with receipts. But while Blake is out here saying this has been so devastating for their family, she and Ryan were just on SNL, laughing it up, cracking jokes, and prancing around like nothing ever happened. And if they're so unbothered, then their kids are probably just as confused as the rest of us, wondering why mommy and daddy are making a spectacle out of something they swore was so traumatic. Oop, this just keeps getting messier. So, according to this amended lawsuit, Blake and others were keeping receipts as far back as May 2023. On May 24th, Blake texted a mutual friend of Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, venting about the workplace drama and saying, "I came home and cried." Now, here's where it gets suspicious. Blake described Baldoni and Heath as creeps and went on a rant about them, saying things like, "Keep your hormones to yourself. I don't want your gaze or words or tongue or videos of your naked wife." Girl, what now? Just 2 days later, on May 26, Blake officially reported Justin and Jamie's behavior to a Sony executive named Ann Giannetti. The lawsuit even states that Justin acknowledged these complaints in writing, and over the next 3 days, another female cast member also came forward about Justin's behavior, so the timeline is looking real interesting. But here's where the contradictions start stacking up. Justin's lawsuit claims that Blake had a habit of threatening to leave the project whenever she wanted more leverage over him and the movie. And because of that, they were practically forced to agree to whatever she wanted just to keep things moving. Now, Blake's new lawsuit is clapping back with a defamation claim, accusing the defendants of smearing her name since she first filed her complaint. And she's adding even more people to the lawsuit, including crisis PR manager Jed Wallace, who has ties to Justin's lawyer and PR team. But let's talk about this billionaire drama, because this is where things go from messy to downright sinister. Blake's lawsuit alleges that Wayfarer co-founder Steve Sarowitz made some deeply concerning threats, saying he would protect the studio with an extreme level of force, and referencing a large number of casualties to get his point across. And if that wasn't chilling enough, he reportedly told a witness, "There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Minimum." Though he apparently meant it figuratively, the energy is scary. And let's not forget, Blake's original lawsuit had already accused Sarowitz of saying he was willing to drop $100 million just to destroy her life and her family's. Like, is this a movie plot or real life? But here's the thing. While Steve's alleged comments are definitely concerning, what does this have to do with Justin? Blake still hasn't proven her allegations against him, so now it's looking like she's trying to take down the entire Wayfarer company instead. Justin, on the other hand, is saying that when he refused to take accountability for making women uncomfortable, despite a lack of solid evidence, he had to rely on his billionaire friend for legal protection. Because, let's be real, they were probably hoping the legal fees alone would bury him and force a settlement. And honestly, every text I see from Blake makes it seem like she planned this movie takeover from the start. She wanted these complaints on record, almost like she was setting up Justin for this exact moment. But here's the reality. Just because you filed a complaint doesn't mean you actually had a case. And I used to see things from Blake's perspective at first, but after looking deeper, things aren't adding up. Like, take this breastfeeding claim from her first lawsuit. Blake alleged that Justin barged into her trailer uninvited while she was breastfeeding. But then, Justin pulled out text receipts showing that Blake had actually invited him in. And suddenly, in her amended lawsuit, she's silent about that claim. Instead, she's now trying to deflect by arguing about creative control over the movie, even pulling up Sony executives' emails to back her version of the film. But let's be real, that's not the point. What she's conveniently leaving out is the fact that she repeatedly threatened to leave the film whenever she wanted more control, using her star power to manipulate both Justin and Sony. And guess what? It worked. Justin kept quiet and let her get away with whatever she wanted because losing her would have been a financial disaster, especially with the budget already stretched thin from her expensive wardrobe choices. And now we get to the final and biggest contradiction. How did Blake even get the chance to screen her own cut of the film when she was just an actor with honorary producer credit and no real decision-making power? That's the real question here. The actual director didn't even get to see the final cut until this whole situation is turning into a full-blown Hollywood soap opera. At this point, it's looking like Blake manipulated the situation to work in her favor, and this lawsuit is just another step in her game. An old Forbes interview recently resurfaced where Blake herself admitted to hiding her desire for creative control, pretending to be just an actress in meetings. This alone fueled criticism that she was prioritizing her own fulfillment over the project. Justin, on the other hand, accused her of undermining his authority on set and even provided receipts showing that she demanded changes, but still remained unsatisfied. Then there's the on-set scene drama. Blake accused Justin of inappropriate behavior, but he clapped back with raw footage showing that he was fully in character the entire time, interacting normally with her while filming. And the biggest twist? Blake initially claimed the scene was completely unscripted, but when that was challenged, she adjusted her lawsuit to say it was improvised, which is literally common in acting. Critics called her reaction unprofessional, arguing that she exaggerated the situation. The Ryan Reynolds factor. Let's get into the Ryan Reynolds conspiracy. Some folks are speculating that Ryan has a major influence on Blake's career. There are even claims that he once discouraged her from acting altogether. Meanwhile, Ryan was also accused of staging a fake paparazzi moment. A group of fans were spotted holding identical posters, and suspiciously, not a single person had their phone out. Seriously, what fan meets a celebrity and doesn't take a pic? And then we have the SNL mess. Ryan literally made jokes about Blake's lawsuit, which had people side-eyeing the entire situation. Because if this was really such a traumatic experience, why was her own husband turning it into a comedy skit? Blake allegedly ranted to Justin about wanting her character to be sexier, but then flipped the script when he used the word sexy himself. Her lawsuit claimed she felt ogled when he allegedly told her, "I think you look sexy." But just inside, he was referring to a scene where she was covering up her onesie with a big coat, and he simply asked her to remove it for continuity. Because, oh yeah, the room was 90 degrees with no AC. And let's not forget, Blake had no problem using the word sexy herself. on set, in interviews, and even when talking about a simple favor, where she convinced the studio that women's suits could be hot and sexy. So, which is it? In April 2023, Blake texted Justin about her love language being playful ball busting, calling it spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth. And the kicker? She also wrote that him serving it back was just as important. That's wild, considering she later accused him of harassment for simply directing the film. And how did Justin respond? Like a professional, shutting it down by mentioning that he missed his family and immediately redirecting the conversation back to the movie. At first, Blake admitted she had never heard of Colleen before being offered the movie, but later, she claimed she was excited for the project because she saw Colleen's name attached. So, which version is true? And the most suspicious part? Colleen initially showed support for Blake, posting a heartfelt Instagram message. But just recently, she wiped all traces of Blake from her page after deactivating her account. With all these inconsistencies and a growing list of deleted receipts, people are starting to wonder, did Blake set up this whole situation to stage? A power move in Hollywood, only for it to completely backfire? Because from where we're standing, it's looking a lot less like a genuine lawsuit, and a lot more like someone playing the victim when things didn't go their way. But what do y'all think? Is Blake telling the truth, or is this just one big PR stunt gone wrong?